Watch Fox News is live with Garrett Bedenbaugh tonight. Garrett, how's the restaurant responding to this criticism?
Daryl, it was business as usual here today at Taco Sit. Despite protesters being here on the sidewalk, those protesters showing that they don't like the T-shirt and what they say it stands for.
Just a shake, racist message.
There's a lot of talk across the nation about sequestration, but what about right here in South Carolina? I'm Garrett Bedenbaugh. We'll tell you whether it will affect your next walk in the park. I'm told that SCDOT will make a decision by tomorrow morning, Friday morning, on whether they need to deploy any of their resources. Live in West Columbia, Garrett Bedenbaugh, Watch Fox News.
And our Garrett Bedenbaugh was at tonight's meeting. Garrett, what's the latest on the situation?
Daryl, tonight's meeting was all about informing the public about what options are available for cleaning up that tar-like substance that was discovered in June of 2010 between the Gervais and Blossom Street bridges. DHEC has determined the most likely source of the material was from the former UG Street manufactured gas plant. That plant was opened from 1900 to around 1950 and created coal tar as a waste product of producing gas. The agency says the water of the Congaree River is safe for recreational use. The only risk is for long-term direct skin exposure to the substance.
Through our studies, we determined that we had 4 possible options, of course, the least of which was to just do absolutely nothing about it. And the greatest solution would be to go in and physically remove this particular material from the bed of the Congaree River. And that is the recommendation that DHEC has made to South Carolina Electric and Gas, as that complete removal take place.
SCE&G is extending a voluntary cleanup contract to actually perform the removal process of the sediment. The public has until April 22nd to submit any comments to the agency about which cleanup proposal is preferred. DHEC has selected a preferred plan that would involve damming and removing sediment from the areas affected. It's a project that would cost SCE&G more than $18.5 million and about 3 years of disruption to part of the Congaree River.
Yeah, that is a lot of money. And Garrett, we know as the weather starts to heat up, a lot of people like to go kayaking in that area. Some like to cool down in the river. How does this affect them?
Well, Daryl, actually the dam will only, if that project is allowed to go forth, the dam will only go out into the river about 150 to around 200 feet. So kayakers and canoers will be able to pass on by.
Yeah, they'll still be able to do their thing. Thanks, Garrett.
With severe weather season right around the corner, we take a look at why some Midlands counties have more ways to warn you and your family than others. I'm Garrett Bedenbaugh. We'll have that story coming up. A daunting sound.
Typically, a tornado is only on the ground for a few seconds in this state.
It's a sound that can save lives, but tornado sirens also cost money.
It's tens of thousands of dollars for one siren, plus the annual maintenance, plus maintaining an entire statewide network the size of South Carolina.
State law doesn't require funding for tornado sirens, so most counties have chosen not to rely on them.
We have 11 sirens throughout the county.
Newberry County is one of 3 Midlands counties that has tornado sirens, and they were installed for civil defense.
It gives the community a way of us notifying them, say if they're outside or don't have any kind of communication with them, and they can hear the siren. That at least gives them a warning to go inside and see if you can find out what's going on.
Newberry County is 6th in the state for tornado touchdowns, but with 11 warning sirens placed across the population centers of the county, who all can hear them?
Yeah, it depends on the wind a lot of times, which way the wind is blowing, but on average, at least a mile.
A mile, needless to say, doesn't cover everyone. In today's technology-driven world, most have turned to different apps on smartphones to get weather warnings. But what if cell phone towers are knocked out?
That's why we encourage everybody to get a NOAA-certified tone alert weather radio that's programmable for your area. That way you get the alerts at the same time we do.
One of the best ways to get weather alerts is through NOAA weather radios. They're tied straight to the National Weather Service, and you can receive severe weather alerts even when the power goes out.
And we get a lot of rough storms through this area, and I guess it just depends, it's kind of our location in the state.
Each of our county emergency management directors have done a very good job at identifying their communities and looking at the types of emergencies that are most common and how best to notify the people that they serve in that county. So you see a lot of counties with siren systems that works for them. For us on the state level, it's just not feasible.
With only 3 counties in the Midlands having the equipment, it's safe to say tornado sirens are not the best way to be weather ready in the Midlands. NOAA weather radio, cell phones, social media, and right here on TV are the best ways to keep you and your family safe. In Columbia, Garrett Bedenbaugh, Watch Fox News.
Confirming some very exciting news. I guess you can say it's exciting for the state of South Carolina.
Yeah, you know, well, Henry, Columbia is known for being famously hot, but now there is proof to back it up. I got a chance to look at South Carolina's new state all-time high temperature, set right here in the Midlands.
We do have some exciting news in South Carolina's weather history.
You may remember the end of June.
This is that ridge of high pressure. That is what's really allowing the air to sink and compress, and when it compresses, it heats up, and that's what allows for these very warm temperatures.
We were forecasting triple-digit heat for several days in a row, and one of them was hotter than all the rest.
We have a new all-time state maximum temperature record of 113 degrees Fahrenheit set on June 29th, 2012.
That number, set at the USC Cooperative Observing Site in Columbia, became official this week after a rather lengthy investigation, replacing an 87-year-old state record of 111 degrees Fahrenheit, first set at Blackville in 1925. It took nearly 6 months for that high temperature to become the new number to beat.
There is a process involved to be able to verify, especially such an extreme observation.
That process involves confirming that the sensors recording the record observation fits the National Climatic Data Center, or NCDC, requirements.
To look at the surrounding environment to make sure the instrument was not placed too close to a building, pavement, trees, any obstructions.
After a thorough investigation, a month and a half later, a joint 64-page report was produced by the State Climatology Office and a representative from the National Weather Service in Columbia. That report was sent to a state climate extremes committee made up of 5 voting agencies. After given time to review the report, the committee convened and voted to approve the observation. The final step was to send the committee's approval to Thomas Carl, the director of NCDC, for his stamp of approval. After that, the rest is history.
It's our responsibility to verify the integrity of that observation.
We're told that an unofficial DHEC temperature sensor co-located at the site helped to verify the official reading.
But this is for all stations, all days, a new maximum temperature record.
So 113, probably a record we don't want to break anytime soon. Now, if you would like to view the 64-page report, all you have to do is click on our story on the website, midlandsconnect.com. It is a good one to check out tonight. Henry? With improving weather conditions, that red flag alert has since been lifted. But in similar situations, we can all do things to help prevent wildfires. Not burning debris when asked, and of course, not throwing cigarettes onto the ground are all things we can do to help smother the chance of fire. In Columbia, Garrett Bedenbaugh, Watch Fox News.
I'm certain that life existed on Mars in the past.
And this Winsboro man says he's got the picture proof to back up that claim.
When you see a picture of an elephant, you know you're looking at an elephant. At some point, you have to lower your guard and take the next leap.
With 2 Freedom of Information Act requests, Schultz was able to obtain a couple 100,000 images from NASA's Mars rovers and says he first discovered life on the planet in 2004.
I found very definite signs of aquatic fossils in many of the images, and the chemistry and the physics supports it.
Images like these are what Schultz says are evidence that life has existed on Mars. But after presenting his findings to NASA, he found not everyone is ready to accept the idea.
Recently, about 2 years ago, when confronted on the issue, Phil Christensen, who is one of the NASA scientists, said that the results of my research were not out of the question.
However, now the agency seems to be coming around ever so slightly. Tuesday, it was announced that a rock sample collected by the Curiosity rover reveals that by finding some key chemical ingredients for life, ancient Mars could have supported living microbes.
Earth and Mars were formed from the same materials in our solar system at the same time. They have nearly identical chemistries and histories. It shouldn't surprise anyone that the quantities and qualities of the minerals and chemistry present in those 2 worlds are the same.
It's a thought that could take more time for Earthlings to accept. Schultz has a CD called A Fossil Hunter's Guide to Mars, where you can see for yourself images that he has collected and what he says proves there are ancient fossils on Mars.
I can't prove anything to anyone if they don't want to see it, and I can't educate everybody unless they choose to learn for themselves. I can only present what my findings are and solid links to the fact that they're truths.
Securely on planet Earth, Garrett Bedenbaugh, Watch Fox News.